Auvergnat or Auvernhat is one of several varieties of the Occitan language spoken in Auvergne, which is a historical province in the northern part of Occitania, the southern third of France, a historical region where the modern Occitan language is still spoken. Auvernhat has become known internationally through the folk song arrangements of Joseph Canteloube. Geographical distribution. The effective borders of Auvergne do not completely coincide with those of the current region of Auvergne, the historical region of Auvergne, but can be described as follows: the entire département of the Puy-de-Dôme, a large section of the département of Cantal, largely centered on Saint-Flour and Mauriac. It is to be noted that Aurillac and the Pierrefort canton speak a dialect called Carladésien, a form of Languedocian, with Auvergnat conjugations and the rest largely similar to standard Languedocian. A larger portion of the Haute-Loire aside a Sinjo which speaks Vivaro-Alpine. The southern half of Allier, or the Bourbonnais province, near Montlarcon and Vichy, with the northern half toward Moulins traditionally speaking French. A large fringe of eastern Limousin, in the département of Corrèze near Ussel and Bourg-les-Orgues. This is a transition zone between Auvergnat and Limousin. The communities of Noiré-Table and La Chambre in the western side of the département of Loire. A more precise view on Auvergnat boundaries. There are strong oppositions between Pierre Bonneau and, for instance, Roger Hewlett. Language boundaries: 1. Latin Pratus and GT, PRA versus PRE acute. 2. Latin Nepos and GT, Nebot versus Nouveau. Light blue area labeled FR is for French langue d'Oil. Light purple area labeled FRP is for Franco-Provençal. Dialect boundaries: 0. No Occitan in the north defines the Marchois dialect, a name often given to the Occitan spoken in the Croissant area. The area labeled M is the one of the Marchois dialect. 3. The California Char boundary separated northern Occitan and southern Occitan. It is part of the Auvergnat boundary, along with 7. In Cantal. Area LM is for the Limousin dialect, Virginia for Vivaro-Alpine, LG for Languedocian. 4. Feminines in Ada have lost into vocalic D and became AA. This separates Auvergnat and Vivaro-Alpine. Definition boundaries. These are not characteristic of Auvergnat as a whole but allow for defining a boundary. 5 and 6. These match the core Auvergnat, according to Pierre Bonneau. They may be used for the western boundary of Auvergnat. Area 5 has the pronunciation of Area 6 has the palatalization of CL2 or 7. Southeastern boundary has an opposition between Dreta and Dreca. 8. This is for the southern boundary. The plural of Brac has the same pronunciation than the singular, only the article allows differentiation. Note that most Occitanists use rather 7 than 8 to define the southern boundary. Internal variation. Note some of the definition boundaries allow defining an internal variation. The most traditional one between Lower Northern Auvergnat and Upper Southern Auvergnat is the mutation of S before T and. Lower Auvergnat, defined by Hewlett, is the light green area labeled 1 on the map. Upper Auvergnat, defined by Hewlett, is the light brown-yellow area labeled 2 on the map. A broader area is generally defined. A northwestern Auvergnat may be defined as well by 5 and 6. The northeastern has, according to Bonneau, a stronger influence from French phonetics. Subdialects. Auvergnat is most often categorized in the northern Occitan dialect group, along with Limousin and Vivaro-Alpine. There are 2 primary distinctions in Auvergnat: Northern Auvergnat in Puy-de-Dôme and Allier, and Haute-Loire north of Brioude. In the south of Allier, the local Nord Auvergnat has been heavily influenced by French, but Auvergnat linguistic traits remain dominant. This transition zone to French, called locally Le Croissant, includes the northern fringe of Limousin. See also the article on Bourbonnais, Southern Auvergnat spoken in Cantal, Haute-Loire. The suggestion that Auvergnat is an independent language, distinct from Occitan, has found little resonance with linguists, especially Romanced linguists. It is strongly defended by those who espouse the normie bonaudiana standardization of Auvergnat, linguistic vitality and usage. An understanding of the vitality and overall usage of Auvergnat can be garnered from a survey carried out in 2006 in the Auvergne region. The largest group of the two languages spoken in the Auvergne region is referred to as patois compared with other regional terms, with certain cultural identities emerging, such as Auvergnat Occitan, Bourbonnais langue d'Oc. The regional language, whether Occitan or Oil, represents a strong presence in the region. 61% claim to understand the regional language more or less, with 22% claiming to understand it easily or perfectly. 42% claim to be able to speak it more or less, with 12% claiming it as easy. 29% claim to read Auvergnat more or less, with 10% claiming it easy. 17% claim to write Auvergnat more or less, with 4% declaring it easy. A large part of the population that understands or speaks even a little or, moreover, fluently, neither know how to write nor read in that language. Language learning is found to be essential within the home, according to the survey, with a very weak result from the schools. Herein is found the problem of language transmission when dependent upon state sponsorship. 40% of adults who did not teach the language to the children report regretting it at the time of the survey. This feeling is reported more strongly among the 35 or less demographic, at 58%. The desire to learn a local language is reported strongly, with increasing representation among the young, reported at 23%. According to the survey, the desire to incorporate local language learning in schools is as follows: Haute-Loire, Puy-de-Dôme, Cantal. The desire to teach to their own children is strong, and is stronger still with the 35 and under demographic. 71% of the region's inhabitants are favorable to the idea of maintaining the regional language and culture, with a stronger result in the 35 and unders. To achieve this desire, different institutions are expected to play a role. France 3 Auvergne. The local television channel should offer regional language programming. The region, national education, the culture ministry and the communities are seen by most Auvergnats as the most correct venues to develop and pass on the Auvergnat language and culture. Authors. The following are authors who have published in Auvergnat: Pierre Bonneau, Daniel Bruges, Antoine Clet, François Cogneras, Etienne Coudet, André Homet, Karl-Heinz Reichel, Jean Roux, Henri-Antoine Verdier. Memoirs d'un Papier Auvergnat, text in Auvergnat dialect and French. 2000. Poets using Auvergnat, Louis Del Hostel, Forson, Ruf Henriette de Voltaire, Mise en vers burlesques par Forson, Riem, 1798, Le Conte des deux Pedrix, Royals, Le Tirage, Poem, Clermont, 1836, Le Maire Compétent, Clermont, 1841. Camille Gandelone Gensdarm, Braville, Le Passade, Epic Poem, Joan de Cabanas.